Okay, let's talk about it. That looming deadline, the project you just keep putting off. Sound familiar? Yeah, we've all been there. Procrastination is one of those universal struggles we all face, but it's also one of the most misunderstood. So, the big question is, can we actually beat it? Let's find out.
This really hits home, doesn't it? It's such a perfect way to describe that nagging feeling. When you know you should be doing something, but you just can't. And it's not just about losing a few hours here and there. It's about our ambition slowly, silently slipping away.
And get this number really puts the scale of the problem into perspective. According to research by Dr. Joseph Ferrari, for 1 in every 5 people, this isn't just an occasional bad habit. No, it's a chronic, life-altering issue. This is not some small quirk. It's a significant challenge for millions of people.
So if we're going to figure out how to fight this thing, we first have to understand what it truly is. And the first thing you need to know is that the common excuse, "Oh, I'm just lazy," is almost always wrong. The real story behind why we delay is so much more complex and honestly, way more fascinating.
Here's a question for you. Have you ever known someone who seems to just thrive on that last-minute pressure, while for you, it just causes pure panic? Well, that's because not all delay is created equal. There's a really crucial distinction we need to make.
And that leads us to this key distinction. Procrastination really has 2 very different faces. And knowing which one you're dealing with? Well, that's the first step to cracking the code.
So on one side, you have what's called the deadline dance. These are your active procrastinators. They choose to delay, and they strategically use that last-minute pressure to spark this intense focus. And studies show they often perform just as well as people who start early. But then there's the avoidance game. This is passive procrastination, where we delay out of fear or indecision or just feeling overwhelmed, and it leads to total paralysis. This is the one that causes all the stress and all the missed opportunities.
So why do we get stuck in this avoidance game? Well, the reasons are probably going to sound pretty familiar. It's that fear of not doing it perfectly, or the fear of failing outright, or just being so completely overwhelmed by the size of the task that you can't even start. Our brains just get stuck, and suddenly, literally anything seems more appealing than the task at hand.
Luckily, scientists have a framework for all this. It's called the temporal motivation theory, but we can just think of it as the procrastination equation. And it breaks down our motivation into a clear, predictable formula.
Now, it might sound complicated, but put simply, our motivation is a constant battle between 4 things. There's expectancy, which is asking, can I actually do this? There's value, is this thing even worth it? Then you have delay, how far away is the reward? And finally, impulsivity, how easily am I distracted? The more you expect to succeed and the more you value the task, the higher your motivation. But the longer the delay for that reward and the more impulsive you are, the lower it goes.
Okay, this is where it gets really powerful. If procrastination is just an equation, can we actually change the variables? The answer is a resounding yes. And one of the most effective tools we have for doing this is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. And this slide, it just maps out the strategy perfectly. Using CBT techniques, you can target each part of that equation directly. You tackle the long delay by breaking down big projects into small, immediate goals. You boost your expectation of success by testing those negative beliefs. You increase the task's value by really focusing on the positive outcomes. And you reduce impulsivity by actively managing your environment to get rid of distractions.
Now, this all sounds great in theory, right? But does it actually work in the real world? Let's look at the evidence from a study that put this exact approach to the test.
So, researchers conducted a randomized controlled trial, which is basically the gold standard of scientific studies. They took 71 university students who are all struggling with procrastination. They had one group go through an online CBT program based on this very theory, while the other group was just put on a wait list to act as a control. And the result? Well, it was incredibly clear and just overwhelmingly positive. The intervention wasn't just a minor success, it absolutely worked. Just look at this difference. The group that got the CBT therapy saw this massive reduction in their procrastination levels compared to the control group. We're not talking about a small change here. This was a significant, potentially life-altering improvement for a lot of these students. For the stats folks out there, the effect size, or what's called Cohen's d, was 1.09. Now, in simple terms, anything above 0.8 is considered a large effect. So this wasn't some statistical fluke. The therapy had a major, real-world impact on the students' behavior. But the really nuanced part is how it worked. Researchers found the therapy was most effective at increasing the perceived value of the tasks and reducing impulsivity. So it made the work feel more worthwhile and made it easier to avoid distractions.
What's super interesting, though, is that it didn't have a huge effect on the students' belief in their own abilities, their expectancy. The key was changing their behavior and how they saw the rewards.
So what's the crucial point to take away from all of this? Procrastination isn't a moral failure. It's not a sign that you're lazy. It's a complex puzzle of motivation and emotion. And you know what? Like any puzzle, it can be solved. You have the equation and you have the tools. The only question left is, what's your first move going to be?